All right, I'm just learning how to do this, so here we go. We're operating as the Academy of Entrepreneurs and Associates. Entrepreneurs because we're all small business people, and associates because the more networking and helping each other along, the better our businesses have a chance to be sustainable. I've seen this work so much, so I appreciate y'all continuing to join these webinars and seminars and then start relating with each other and helping each other's business go along. I operate as several DBAs, doing business as, and do these webinars and seminars as 360 management presentations and business skill training. That's one of my DBAs, in which we talk about DBAs a lot through the series. This is just a slide that you'll be able to use if you need to get in touch with me. Just a notice about using it for anything free you want to do it. My presentation number 938, so we're keep clicking along towards 1,000, and I appreciate you being on the journey with me. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. I'm just offering free advice based on my experience for 62 years in business. The first piece of advice I always will give you is always get a second and third opinion about important decisions you're making for your financial security and your business future. And that's one good reason to stay in touch with your local small business centers, because the people there are in a position to give you good, confidential advice. I'm always glad to help you, but I always don't say get another opinion to make sure you're headed in the right direction. I sent to you some email. This is week 5 out of a 7 series. That doesn't mean that you've wasted your time coming tonight because you missed the previous 4, because I can send you this year I can send you videos of our previous sessions and handouts, and also invite you to join us for our next sessions, which I'll be doing all through the spring and the summer and the fall. But for those of you that's been with us for the last 5 weeks and you're interested in earning different certificates, in the email I sent to you, the quiz that you need to fill out and send back to me is in there, and also some homework assignments. If you're really diving into this and trying to move your business forward right now, these homework assignments can be quite helpful for you. Now that we're in week 5 and 6 and 7 to go, I need to tell you that the next 2 weeks are mandatory for any certificate. That's where we tie it all together. In week 6 and 7, we go back and connect all the dots. It's really important that you do that. But you can earn 3 different certificates, even your first time on board, your regular graduation and achievement certificate. Your second year, you can get an advanced certificate, and the third round that you come, you can get a master's certificate. And all of you can get the higher achievement awards and extra mile awards if you're doing some extra work. All that is spelled out in the email that's sent to you, the different requirements. But to get your basic certificate, all you need to do is to attend at least 5 of the 7 seminars or webinars, but to include the last 2. Each time we've talked about the Main Street SMART skills, drill skills. In your email, you got a video sheet that you can watch them individually, and I was happy to share those with you. And we're going to go through them very quickly and add the last group on tonight. Drill skill number 1. Why do you want that business plan? You need it to tell you what's left. Why do you want that good marketing plan? So that you'll know what's coming next and know that you're going to be able to stay in business because you got a marketing plan that's bringing new business into you and letting you know what your old customers want to know. Well, you need to remember there's 3 different types of profit centers: new business, repeat business, and big ticket sales, and you need at least 5 profit centers in each business. An RLC is a raving fan customer, and they're the people that just send other people to do business with you, and you want as many as you can have. We need to be reminded to always change the plan if it's not meeting the demand of our business plan and our customers. So I like to say NDCP means if no demand, change that plan. And we're going to connect the dots on everything. And in business, small business, it's easy to make decisions that just doesn't fit your business plan, the long-term good of your business. So always connect the dots in a way that's helping your business move forward in a very positive way with the least amount of risk. The 3 words that move more profit into your small business picture than any others are the 3 words, by the way, because by the way is the way that you invite your customers to give you upsells and cross sales, which have everything in the world to do with your ability to stay profitable as a small business person. How do you catch fish? You keep fresh bait in the water. That's the first 3 rules about catching fish, whether you're down in Central Florida with William that's with us tonight, or up here in North Carolina off the coast, or catfishing in Cape Fear River. Keep fresh bait in the water is the way you keep catching the fish. How do you keep catching customers? Keep sending out continuous promotions. Let the people know that you're here and alive, and you really want to hear from them, and you appreciate their business. You have to remind them all the time. What's the best way to find customers? As we talked about last week, is help them find you. Help them find you in so many different ways. Now, I'll stop right here because next week I'm going to send you about 7 examples that we've been doing at carverequipment.com during the last 2 weeks in making new videos, in making new landing pages, naming our pages so that we can help customers find them. Just a lot of different things, and I'm trying to share with you what I do in my business so you can copy these techniques and strategies and ploys to help you in your business. Now, of course, if you want to be like William and order a mower from me, I'll appreciate your business too and make sure that you're a satisfied customer, especially if I know if you're going to sit here with me on my webinars and tell all my other guests and friends here about the way I create business, because it's hard to not practice what you preach here. So thank you indeed for doing that. But I am going to send you a lot of copies of things that Maddie, my associate, has been helping me with and using MailChimp for email blast, creating some new profit centers. We did new videos this week, and also for the first time at Carver Equipment, practicing what I'm preaching, we're doing a discount coupon, and I'll be sending you copies of all that. I've already sent you an extra little thing this past week on some mission statements. I noticed that my church put out a new web page that shows their mission and vision statement, and it goes to prove these things don't have to be long and lengthy, but they're so important to let your customers know that you're working that way. So how do you help customers find you? You just put new stuff out there and keep fresh bait in the water. Your business can't be all things to all people, but it must be everything to some people. Now, talking about money, and we're going to do that tonight, I do not want you to think that just because you've earned a little extra cash in the bank that you should spend that money on long-term debts. That is a big mistake to make in a small business. You want to keep a cash reserve, then you let those long-term debts pay their own way, and so that you always have a cash reserve. Now, if you just get totally flush and got more money than you think you'll ever need to get you through the next 2 or 3 months, then go ahead and pay down some debt and cut your interest payments. But that is more important to have a cash reserve and not be afraid of going out of business every 10th of the month than it is to pay your debts down, as long as you stay current with them, of course. The difference in marketing and advertising, remember, the marketing budget is the big budget. Advertising is a piece of the pie for the short-term budget. But the marketing budget is really important, and you need to invest some money if you plan to make some money. Who's your toughest and strongest competitor? It's you and your distractions. Who's my toughest competitor? It's me and all my distractions. So I know it's the truth. How do we get ahead of that? We have to set priorities if we want something different to happen that we haven't been doing. So we got some new folks on board tonight with Alicia and Norma. It's good to have you on board. And so I'll say to you that if you expect to get your new businesses started, and I want you to, let me tell you that you're going to need to do things different if you want things to be different. That means we're going to have to start changing priorities. The best place you can start is start listening to, and watching the videos on the drill skills. All of us in business, buying and selling products or time for money, need to understand what fair market value is and understand the definition of it and study that. The L and the H is the look and the hook. That's the way I say to make your advertising pay for itself. It needs to look good and have a hook in it. The hook is the call to action. Every piece of ad, now when you send these, you see the samples I send to you, Maddie and I worked hard to make sure we've got a hook in every advertisement that we send out. That's so that we can tell if it's working or not. And if it's not working, we won't keep doing it. Last week we introduced, in week 4, we introduced these. Positive cash flow and negative cash flow. Positive cash flow is when someone's in your environment that's got money to spend. Negative cash flow is when you let them leave without getting some of that money. You have to think like a predator as an entrepreneur because cash flow is your lifeblood and your heartbeat of your business. Please do more than offer take it or leave it merchandising to your customers. Give them the option to negotiate, give them the option to pay for things in different ways, let them see different ways that they can get their freight coming to them so that it's just not a cut and dry, because the conversation, the back and forth that you get with questions and answers is how you start building the relationship. And that's what will make you different as a small business person compared to Amazon.com. You know, there's no personality involved with doing business with them. I mean, I ordered a headset from them tonight, one that's a little skinnier and the microphone's supposed to be a little better. It took me 2 seconds, but I didn't talk to anybody. But if I was buying a $5,000 mowing machine, I'd kind of like to know that there's a human being up there that appreciates my business. And it's the same with your business. Do more than just take it or leave it. The 3 times rule says if you don't know how to price your products, you're brand new in this game, then usually you take your cost, multiply it times 3, and that's a good place to start. Now, there's more to it than that, and you need to study that. We talked about this in week 2. The 27 times rule helps you put your marketing plan together because the customer has to see your ads or presentations 9 times usually before they will do business with you, and they're going to miss it 2 out of 3 times. So the 3 times 9 is 27, which starts our 27 times rule. To keep the conversation going, instead of just saying, no, sir, I can't do it, and they're gone to give your money to someone else, learn and own yes, if, and no but negotiating. That's to keep, this is a way to keep the conversation going until you and your customer are able to find common ground. Now, I've written a book on yes, if, no but negotiating, and we'll go into the depths of that in week 6. Next week, we'll start talking about negotiating, so make sure that you join us for that. What's your most important web page? It's your mobile page. That's where 85% of the people that are shopping today are doing it on their telephone, and your website is seen on mobile pages. So that's when you have to be particularly careful to make sure it's powerful. The second most important web pages are your landing pages. That is pages that are named and designed with the right SEO so that when someone types in a search term of something that you're selling, they end up on a page at your website that you are there like a spider's web to encourage them to come on in and take your money out of their pocket and send it on to you. Number 2. Number 24, what's the reasons that customers come back to you time after time? Well, 40% of the reason is customer service. How well you do your pricing, your presentation, your promotions. If you got a bricks and mortar store, your lighting, your security, your clean bathrooms, your nice parking lot, your website, how easy it is to do, all that's customer service. But more important than that, the reason people will come back to see you after doing business with you one time is how they feel about doing business with you. Are you going the extra mile to let the customer know that you darn sure really appreciate their business? That you darn sure really need their business, and you darn sure really want them to let other people know that you want them to come to see you too. Hospitality. Just be nice to folks and make them feel welcome, and do a lot of listening when they got things to say. Try not to talk over people, and to start a good business relationship that'll last for years. Okay, this week we're going to wrap them up as far as going over them every week. Next week and next we'll just hit the highlights. Number 25, when closing a sale, do your very best to send and read. Send and read nonverbal communications. Now, I was just talking with Sheila through the weeks here. Sheila's in the business of helping people in county government with just a lot of different ways that through social services and otherwise that counties can help people. And I bet Sheila would attest to the fact that when you're having a face-to-face or a phone call with people, sometimes you get more of a message by what they don't say, or when you can read between the lines, or hand signals or facial expressions. That is so important when you're trying to help someone go forward, or when you're trying to close the sale or make your presentation. So you're learning how to send nonverbal communications to other people. Sometimes you can say more with your expressions and your hands and your gestures than the words coming out of your mouth will do. So we're going to talk about that next week, and also in week 7 when we're talking about closing sales. Now, all of these quiz questions that we're talking about now will be part of your, all these drill skill questions here are going to be part of your quiz questions that you'll be filling out when you're asking for your certificates. There has to be somebody to motivate others. People, very few people motivate themselves, especially if they're just getting started in business. So what has to happen is, in your business, if you're trying to motivate customers, or you're trying to motivate an associate to help you, or an employee, the word assertive comes into play. Now, assertive has a negative connotation to some folks, because it's kind of like you're getting over in my lane, or you're sticking your nose in my business, and I understand all that. And I'm as guarded as anybody else, but I also do know this. Some people want to be motivated, and some people want to go to the next step. And you as an entrepreneur, now you're taking risk. You're laying it out here on the line and gambling with your time and your money. Just don't think that you're floating down the river on a raft, and wherever the current takes you, that's going to be all right. No. Excuse me. You need to be assertive and be willing to paddle your boat and steer it and rudder it to the place that you want to go on your business plan and your marketing plan. So right now, let me tell you, assertive is a good thing, because no one is motivated until there's an assertive person in the room. Right now, as coach, and during this hour, I'm doing my best to be nice, but I'm also trying to be forceful and assertive to move you from where you are right now to the place that you want to go, to help you pick up that foot and take that first step. Learn to be assertive. Now, in week 7, we're going to talk about taxes right much, and I'm going to say then something that most people giving webinars and seminars never want to talk about, and that is, there is a good thing, and that is tax avoidance. Tax avoidance is something that every entrepreneur needs to understand and appreciate. There's another little thing called tax evasion that is not a good thing, and that will get you in trouble, cost you fines and lots of interest, and maybe even some jail time. So let's stay away from tax evasion, and we'll talk about the differences in that in week 7. But what I want you to know is, learning tax avoidance is a key ingredient for you to stay in business and stay sustainable. Because if you don't know how to do your books and set up your records in such a way, there's a good chance that any profit that you hope to make will be eaten up by taxes you have to pay. It's not that they're designed not that the governmental agencies design their programs to tax you out of business, because they figure if you're smart enough to be in business, you ought to be smart enough to figure out how to do your books to avoid what you can and stay legal. So that's what I want to encourage you to do as well. It don't make any difference how many times we get knocked down as entrepreneurs. What really matters is how many times that we can get back up with a smile on our face and get back on our business plan and marketing plan to be determined to win the race. And maybe the word win the race isn't the right word here, but it looks good on the slide. Maybe the right word would be finish the race in an honorable way. But we have to keep getting knocked up, because the 27 times rule is going to teach us. We're going to do a lot of advertising that's not going to turn any heads. And we're going to speak to people a lot of times that really like us and might do business with us, but maybe 9 times later they finally say yes. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, we got knocked down, and we have to get back up and keep coming back so we can make the sale the 9th time. That's what I want to tell you. Being an entrepreneur is not an easy job. It gets easier as you're in business a while. After 63 years, I can tell you that it's easier for me to stay in business today than it was when I first got started. even though my dad owned the business and I was just trying to contribute. You learn a lot of stuff. If you stay in it long enough, that is, finish the race, you stay in it long enough, you'll learn a lot of little things that make the difference. They help you get along. Number 29, is your legacy going to be, at the end of the day, tomorrow or at the end of your career, will you be known as a taker or a giver? Will you be known as the person that did all they could to take things from other people, take advantage of them, cheat, misrepresent, do all the kind of things you can do to increase your bottom line? Or were you the person that played by the rules, made honest profits, gave good advice, knocked some home runs and made some good profit, but was always ready to give what you could back to help other people move forward, or to help other people get started, or to help your employees go to the next level? That's the challenge, and that's the person that I want you to be with the Academy of Entrepreneurs and Associates. I want an academy of givers. Lastly, be the best person you can be, and let your little light, your little candle shine, because when your candle's shining, it's going to help lead the way for you. It's going to give you warmth. It's going to give warmth to your potential customers, and that warmth is the hospitality mode. And you know what? The light that you're shining may help some other people find their way along too. Just always remember that we're not here by ourselves. There is a God. And indeed, a lot of things can help us stay in business, whether it's the power of prayer or raving fan customers, or just taking some things to Jesus in prayer. Is, by golly, sometimes we all just need a helping hand, not just related to money, but to deal with all the things that we have to deal with in our lives. So let your light shine, and that path will be lit for you, and it'll be easier to cross. How do I know that? Because it works for me every day, and I've seen it work for a lot of my friends and associates. So are you the missing person? Are you the missing person? Are you the one that hasn't sent me in your 5 profit centers? Are you the one that has not done your mission and vision and promise statement, and maybe learning how to plant raving fan customer brain seeds? Are you the missing person that has refused to do a YouTube video yet? Yeah, it's okay. You're just floating down the river on that inner tube. You just hadn't got around to it, right? You've just been so busy. Remember those priorities? Are you the one that hadn't done a video about the products and services that you plan to sell and do? Now, Toya's done a lot of them. I've seen her work, and Sarita's been working on her videos, and I'm sure that Denise is going to go after it. Not only, I got 2 Denises with us tonight, as we have, and I'm sure that one has already done some videos and music and other things, and I'm sure we're going to get some from the historic Heron House in Clinton. We already got a good snow video from it. All right, what kind of work are you doing on Facebook? Do you have your personal pages up and your business pages? I hadn't seen copies from a lot of you. Some of you I have, and I appreciate it. So where are you doing? How about some photos? Yeah, I found some photos of you on Facebook, and I use them. I figure if you put them on Facebook, you don't mind the public seeing them, so I'll help promote your business. But how about photos of your business products and things like that? What are you doing about that? Now, Nadine and Gary sent me some really great photos I shared with you last week. Your DBAs, are you using some DBAs to move your business along? I talked with a customer up in New Hampshire yesterday who's in the has a vegetable farm, and he's growing vegetables and selling them under private labels. And I shared with him our experiences with some customers down here in the Elizabethtown area that have taken that business and grown it to a multi-billion-dollar business. And he was really interested in that. DBAs and private labels and logos and slogans give you the opportunity to say, and by the way, we've got this, this, and this. You can put 7 or 8 or 10 or 15 different products on your website without investing $200 by using private label foods and clothes and other things. So is it interesting? So what happens to people that remain missing persons? What happens to their business? Well, they end up in the business graveyard because all these things keep you alive. Yeah, that's kind of forceful talk, isn't it? Well, I'm just being assertive for you, so I hope you appreciate that. But that's what happens next. And then we're closed. So These are not things that you just snuff at as entrepreneurs. They're things that you get on board with and make it happen for your own good. Now, we got some people. We got some fantastic associates and entrepreneurs that I am so proud to be a part of a little part of the journey that you're on, that I just like to brag on you sometime. And if you'll send me information, I'll brag on you. And one of our fellows that's been on board with us now for our third year is Jimmy Packer. Jimmy's not on board yet. He's probably cutting hair. Maybe he's listening, but he's down in Garland. And finally, Jimmy made a video this week and sent it on to me, and it was fantastic. And the video had some background music in it, and it's kind of shaky. So I took his video, and what the video was about was doing a before and after scene of one of his clients. We'll call him his model, different haircuts that he could do. So I took some screenshots from his video and put some slides together. Now, there's different ways you could do it. And I really appreciated Jimmy making the step to do that, because let me tell you, you know that if you go to a lot of your stylists, your hairdresser, and your salon sites, they do this professionally and do it really good. So I was proud of Jimmy for showing us some before and after. From one of his good customers agreed to be his model for him, and just did a real good job. Now, ain't that a clean cut? Jimmy does a good job, and he's such a nice fellow. I'm proud to know him. Here's a picture of him with his first certificate that he got down in Garland. So thank you, Jimmy, for all that you're doing. I also want to talk to all of you and pay a lot of attention here about Ted McIntyre. Ted is a graduate of our academy from Cape Fear Community College about 4 years ago. As a matter of fact, he came to 2 series of academies as he was learning to do videography at the Cape Fear Community College classes there. He learned how to do the videos in those classes, and then he learned how to run his business excuse me, in the seminars. Ted's a great fellow. He's a retired Air Force gentleman, does a good job, and this is how you can get in touch with him. Now, why am I doing this? Because if you have an interest in maybe moving your business to the next step forward, and you don't have the expertise to put together some good videos like I don't, I can do some basics, which are better than nothing. But if you really want to refine those or get some extra help, Ted is the person to do it. You can send him, if you don't want to do live videos, you can send him your story, do an audio track, and he'll put slides together for you to make the videos for you. Now, I had the occasion to work with Ted, with Valerie down in Clinton, who's just started her business, and Valerie got Ted to do a lot of videos for her. And this is a sample of that. I'm going to show you how you can do a short 20 to 30 second video that gets an important message across, and it's easy to do, doesn't cost hardly any big bucks at all. But let me just show you how effective just a small video can be using these on your website or Facebook.
Hi, this is Valerie Smith, owner of Golden Point Transit Plus. This is my van, and it's wheelchair accessible.
Now, isn't that fantastic? Very short, but you got to see Valerie and that great smile, her personality. It showed the van, it was safe, and you get a good picture of how to get in touch with it. Videos don't have to be really complicated. They can be very, very simple. Now, we've working this series. We've had the honor of having several people related to the Carolina Backyard Living Center in Dunn be joining us, and I'm glad to have them on board. I went out and looked them over. The owner and manager of that business is Cindy Prince McLaurin, and I found her picture on Facebook. I hopefully will be able to meet with them next week and learn more about their business. They got a wonderful, wonderful supply of outside buildings and lots of other things to sell. And I really think this business is going to quadruple when they start doing a little bit better job with the marketing opportunities that's available to them. So if you get a chance to go on 301 North, visit with Cindy out there and see if she's got something you can use. All right, let's talk about finance and funding and cash flowing in your businesses, okay? Where can we find the business to start? Where can we find the money to start a business, and where can we find the money to keep it going? That's always what it's about, isn't it? It's about that cash flow. and we just have to keep doing it. When you're in the business like Rayford and Rashawn Wells that are with us in Clinton, let me tell you, you got truck payments, towing truck payments, you got insurance, you got gas, you always got breakdowns to pay for, and buying tires. I mean, every month you can find a place to spend $4,000 or $5,000. So what do? You got to make it, because those bills are going to keep coming in. So we have to keep cash flow on our mind, and what can we do to keep it going on? So I mentioned to Rayford and Rashawn last week how I think there's a new market out here in helping people relocate campers and reset them up, because campers are really becoming a big business in eastern North Carolina. So where can you find that helping hand that you need? I got the best news. You never expected to hear it. I got the places you can find 2 helping hands to help you go forward, and you know where they are? Right on the end of your own arm. Those are the only 2 helping hands that you can always count on, other than, of course, me and Bart Rice at the Small Business Center. But I'm going to encourage you to learn how to use your own helping hands tonight in several different ways to help keep your business going. But the Small Business Center is a good place to go. If you're not in the Sampson County area, let me know where you are, and if you want to know the name and the phone number, the person to contact that is your Small Business Center, I'll be glad to set it up for you, send an introductory letter, and help you get to know them, because we got them all over the state, and glad to do that. You know, we're very fortunate in North Carolina. North Carolina is one, I think, of only 3 states that every community college has a Small Business Center that works for it. So we appreciate the legislature doing that. Okay, let's be realistic. The great thing about this Academy of Entrepreneurs and Associates is some of you ladies and gentlemen might be as young as 16 to 19 years old. And some of you might be as old as I am at 75. I doubt anybody's any older, but if you are, I congratulate you. But within our grasp, within our group, our associates, and I'm so proud of each and every one of you, we have folks that may or may not have their GED, and then we got folks that have retired from distinguished careers and may even have their PhDs. And a few weeks ago, we had a couple of people that had 2 PhDs joining us, but they were all starting a business, and we all had to learn the same things over. So no matter what hand we're dealt, that's what we have to deal with today. And it might be a royal flush like this, where we got a lot of experience and a lot of credentials and a lot of money, or maybe we don't even have a straight in our hand, but we have to play what we got. Let's just face that as fact. Here's some facts. People say, Steve, where can I get a grant? Well, they're advertising grants on the radio and TV now for COVID issues, but those are for businesses that have been in business a long time, or at least 2 years, and it can prove they lost a lot of money because of COVID. Those grants are available. That's about the only thing I know of that is out there, unless you're changing from an old tobacco farm over to something new, and then the Green Leaf Foundation is in a position sometimes to loan money for grants. But can a small business person just starting a business go to a bank and get a payment that you really don't have a lot of collateral, or some property you're buying to use as collateral and down payment? No. The answer is just going to be a flat no. But if you have got some things going for you, maybe you can. And the things that you can are if you're promising. And what does promising startup business mean? One, that you've got good credit. You've paid bills in the past. That you got some down payment money that you can make. And that you have some collateral you can use to secure the loan. And usually that collateral used to be $1 for $1, but now you've got to have about $3 worth of collateral to borrow $1 on it. But there are some ways that you can get set up as a new business person to actually borrow money. So let's talk about that. The lenders don't want you to have a wide vision and grasp of what kind of business you're getting into. They don't want to know that you have prepared yourself not only to sell them the business, in other words, sell the idea of them loaning you money, but which means that you have to learn how to sell yourself. You have to sell yourself to a lender before you even get a chance to sell your business plan to them. So that's why we spend this time on these 30 drill skills and helping you build self-confidence, especially next week and the week after, in helping you get self-assurance that you're ready to go forward with your business plan. The business plan is not going to get you that loan, but it's going to be an important ingredient in the package that you bring to it. Whether you're incorporated or not doesn't make a lot of difference until we learn the details, because you can start your business as an individual. Several of you are brand new to this tonight, so I need to say this again. You don't have to be incorporated to get your business started from day one. You can start out as a sole proprietor and then grow from there. I encourage people to do that. I do want you to know that if you do borrow money from a lender for a startup business, you're going to have to give that lender, if he's got any sense at all, a personal guarantee. And that means you're going to have to give them a lien on everything else that you own, whether it's related to the business or not, before they're going to loan you any money. And that's called, they want to make sure that you've got skin in the game. Why would a lender want to loan you money for a business that you're not willing to put your own money in? That's the question that's always asked. Are you connecting the dots? Are you making wild decisions? You got a good presentation? Do you learn what the risks are? Do you learn that if you don't repay this loan properly, that you got a chance of losing everything that you have now and hoped on for a lot of years, and maybe even go into bankruptcy, which will hurt your possibilities for a long time? So risks are real, but how do you control those risks? You have risk management tools to offset them that we talked about in week 2. So learn how to list down your risk management tools. What are your business skills? What do you have down pat? What do you know you know? And then what do you know you need to know? And those skills that you know that you're weak in, it's time to start enhancing those. It's hard to name a skill that I don't have a study guide on that I can't help you with, and I'll be happy to send it to you free, no commitment involved on your part other than hopefully you'll read it and benefit from it. And develop a comprehensive business plan and marketing plan like we talked about in week 2. So where can you get the cash? Each individual area has little things different going on, and some local banks are helping certain kinds of businesses, and other areas, other banks are doing these things. But your small business center director is kind of in the know in those things. So if you're after a funding source, then this is the best place to maybe to get started and to get some good direction for what's going on in your area. Let's have a little fun. Think about some country music. Talk about the blues music. I kind of like blues some, so I need to kind of ask you, do you need some startup money blues? Is that what you've got? You need some money that's kind of getting you down, got a frown on your face? Well, let's see if we can turn that into a smile. First of all, maybe there's a piggy bank we can just go break open and start a new business. Everybody's got some kind of piggy bank where they stored up their change. Well, I do that. I've been saving my nickels and dimes and quarters all my adult life every morning, hoping to build up a great big treasure chest one day. But you know what? My 12 children, every time they come home from college, they go raid that piggy bank and get all the quarters out of it for all the different things they do. Of course, they told me they were doing laundry, but I got a feeling those quarters did a lot more. So my piggy bank was always there and had a bunch of pennies and nickels in it because they took the quarters out of it. So I can't start a business with that. And then some of my relatives used to keep their money in the freezer, and they call that their cold cash. They actually stick cash up in the freezer. See how like this is? Matter of fact, my Aunt Myrtle would host us to a beach, to Myrtle Beach every summer for a week, and she would pay for that vacation week for my brother and I and my mom to go down to Myrtle Beach with them and have a wonderful week. But she paid for that week with money that she got out of her freezer. And when it was time to go to the pavilion or to go get some ice cream or rent a raft or something, she'd pull out some money and say, "Smell that money," and it would smell like freezer burned money out of the freezer, and she'd say, "This is my cold cash," and she'd peel off some cash and we'd spend it, and it had a lot of laughs on that. So maybe you got a treasure chest in your freezer. How about that? Can you start your business with that? And then when my dad started our business in 1959, he borrowed $3,000 from my Granny Carver in Fayetteville, and she went out in her yard, and she knew where it was, dug up a mason jar that had $3,000 in $100 bills in it, and she loaned that money to my dad, which he paid back in a short period of time with interest. But her yard had some mason jars out there in it with cash in it. You know, anyone that lived through the Depression and lost money at the bank that went belly up, they had a hard time putting money back in the bank, and Granny Carver was one of those. So maybe you know where there's a yard you need to start digging holes in to start your business. Not, but you don't ever know. But this is real. A lot of us have friends and family and uncles and neighbors and folks out in the countryside and through the neighborhoods. Excuse me. This cough is aggravating. Let me get some drink here. It's not COVID. I can't give it to you. I got a test back today. I don't have it, so don't worry about catching COVID over the internet. But this is real. Farmers, neighbors, garages, old sheds. There's junk out there in some people's eyes that if you load it up and carry it to a sale or put a price tag on it, people will buy. Your trash can be someone else's treasure. And I'm getting into a serious point now. A lot of folks can start a small business with $200 or $300 or even $2,000 or $3,000, or even a lot of businesses with less than $5,000. And I've seen all through the years people collect, haul to the junk, go to yard sales, set up booths in different ways, put price tags on stuff in their front yard, and start saving the money. And before you know it, in a year or maybe 2 years, had saved up enough money to get their little business started. And that process sometimes becomes a business that helps you create some extra cash. So know that whatever it is, maybe it's an old four-wheeler or a motorcycle. I mean, just watch Channel 51 on our TV. It's Channel 51 with the people that are always selling stuff. It's amazing what people pay for old things. And every house has got an attic or a garage or a neighbor or an uncle or some grandparents that will say, you can have it. You load it up and take it off, you can have it. Or some people say, you can have it for half the money. Look around at the opportunities that maybe you've got that you can sell some things to create some money to help you get your business started, the first steps, without going into debt. Without going into debt is a good thing to try to do that. But now this is for real. I like to eat and I like to cook. And through the years, now for more than 30 years, I've always tried to help people with their fundraisers, you know, with cancer drives or folks that had hospital bills they couldn't pay, or burnouts or flood outs or hurricane outs. There's always someone that's having some hard luck, and the communities come together to have fundraisers. Well, I'm one of those people that people call and say, Steve, can you help organize the fundraiser? And since I've been doing that, I've been helping entrepreneurs get their business started with their own fundraisers. Now, listen to me carefully. Every Friday and Saturday night, a lot of people don't go out to dinner. They don't go buy something for their family to eat, and usually they don't pay from $8 to $12 a plate per person to feed their loved ones. And you can prepare at your home or in your garage or out in the backyard, you can prepare a darn good meal for probably $4 or $5 that you can sell a plate ticket for $10 or $8, and therefore start making money with every plate that you sell. It can be done. And if you do it right and you press it, you'll be able to find people that will love you and wish you well to help you get your business started, that will provide the bread or just give you the paper products or the drinks or the watermelons or the pig. Folks will help if you're sincere about getting your business started. And I also want to say that some folks turn their nose up at this just because they say, well, I don't want to compete with the Boy Scouts. I don't want to compete with the Girl Scouts that have their fundraisers. I don't want to compete with the people that are sick or trying to do something to help raise some hospital money. Well, I don't want you to compete with them either. I want you to join them and go into one of them together for half and half. In other words, you help your business 50%, and they bring in their friends and family and help their fundraising cause 50%. There's nothing wrong with you with Wells Towing Service having a fundraiser in connection with the Clinton Cub Scout packs. do it together and have a major fundraiser. The more people that's involved, the better off you are. Spaghetti dinners are usually the most profitable that you can have because the ingredients are very inexpensive. Chicken plates depends on the cost of chicken these days, but still, you can put together a chicken plate usually for $3.50 to less than $4 and sell them for $8 to $10. Sometimes a fundraiser even selling $12 plates. Now our church at Eastover is having a barbecue drive at $12 a plate, and they'll do very well at that. So how do you do it? Well, the organization that I recommend, and I call it getting a dozen doers. Find 12 people. If you can get a dozen, and if you don't have 12 friends, then maybe you shouldn't be starting a business. Maybe you need to buy a pistol. Excuse me. But at any rate, if you got 12 friends that'll help you, love you, and help you get your business started, then give each one of them a job, list it down, and get people involved in helping you start your business. You know what that does? That gives you an instant a dozen raving fan customers right away. Now, I don't want you to take one of these jobs. I want somebody else to be the project manager and go right down the line, getting your stuff organized. Now, all this is listed on your handout, so I can't spend a lot of time on it, but this gives you an organization of how to put a fundraiser together. If you have any questions about how it might apply to you, then don't hesitate to send me an email or let me know how I can help you understand it better. But here it is, 2022. Isn't that amazing? And the bottom line is for us small businesses who are just getting started, and if we don't already have a banking relationship or some way, then we will probably end up working with our family or our friends or friends of family to find the resources we need to get started, whether it's in those fundraisers that I just mentioned, or whether it's these people are the ones that are going to give you old trash that you can turn into treasure, or maybe they're just going to loan you some money. But I don't want in any way this presentation to end up making fools out of anybody, especially your family and friends, because these relationships are too important. But just like when we got started, my dad I wouldn't be in business today if my grandmother didn't dig up that jar out of her backyard. So I know how important families and friends can be to help an entrepreneur get started. Here's the key facts. I want you to treat any money that you borrow from your family and friends just like it's a business loan. This isn't like we used to go up to Uncle Gene and say, Uncle Gene, how about loaning me $5 so I can go uptown and go to the movie or do something like that? You knew it wasn't a loan, and he did too. But now I'm talking about, yes, when you're starting your business, let's document it like it's a regular loan, and I'm going to show you how to do that with a promissory note so that you can get your business started, create a financial track record, and business relationship to prove that you've got a good credit history. We don't want anybody to feel like a fool in this process. I want you to pay your family and friends a good interest rate, more than they could get at the bank. I want you not to have a promissory note with them that's more than 2 years long per loan. And I want you to secure it with collateral or statements to make sure that they know that you're serious about paying them and that you do pay them back on time, because this is how you will establish a good credit record. All through the years, people have been trying to get started in business or to get their farm started or to buy a house or something. And there's been documents signed. Well, documents that have been signed way back since the 1600s have been called promissory notes. A promissory note is a lending instrument used by individuals and institutions. And it is a simple document that spells out the details of a loan. Now, your handout has a regular legal document like any lawyer or banker would pull out of his desk tomorrow if you go talking about borrowing some money or lending money. Because I have to say this now. Maybe you're going to be in a position one day to have money to put in a business, and you decide that the money is going to be your business, like cashing checks or loaning other people money. And that's a good business to be in. I mean, the banks do real well, and small lending companies do quite well as well. So every time you have a chance to loan or to borrow money, a document built around a promissory note that's going to be pulled out. So I want to talk about that so you'll be familiar with it. You can write it out by hand. It just explains all the details. If you don't have a copy, but y'all don't have to do that because I'm giving you a copy that you can use right in your handout. It's spelled out all the details. So here's what's in your handout. And notice it says 2017. It could have said 1917, and it wouldn't have changed a bit, or it could say 3017, and there wouldn't be many changes in it either. But you just fill in the blanks. It gives all the details of who the lender is, who the borrower is, what the rate of interest is, how much the payments are, and it explains what happens if the loan is not paid back as promised. The details what the remedies will be to the lender if you don't pay like it's supposed to, as far as what type of fines or penalties or extra costs are going to be involved. The promissory note is just a good, clean document that we all will use, whether you're buying a car or selling a car with anyone. Now listen, this may be the first document that you're going to start doing credit with. And make a promise to yourself. From day one, I'm going to pay my bills. And if I get in a jam and I'm going to be late, I don't let that borrower know before that payment is due that I can pay him so much now, but I can't pay it all, but I'll make a commitment to do the rest of it and pay the interest that I owe. New entrepreneurs have to know that your credit is a big, big part of you being able to stay in business and getting people to sell things to you or to do business with you or to create a good reputation within your business community, because your reputation will have a lot to do with the doors that are open for you. So getting into debt is a serious thing, and it's a really good thing as long as you manage it and use it as a business tool. Now, I was in the farm equipment business that grew into a lot of other businesses, and debt was a huge factor. There were so many years that I was many millions of dollars in debt every day and paying huge interest payments every month, but the business was rolling along, and that debt was helping me make money. Sometimes you've got to borrow money and go into debt before you can ever get a serious return on investment and make good money. So that's why I said to get some good advice and get several opinions on it before you go into debt, because sometimes that's what we have to do. All through the years, I've been doing this for 14 years, and entrepreneurs would come to me and say, Steve, I hate debt, and I don't want to get into it. What in the world? I need to wait till I can save up enough money before I can buy everything to get my business started. And I'd have to say, heck no. If you're like most of us, you never be able to save up enough to pay for everything as you go. That's why we learn how to manage our debt. We borrow money to make money sometimes. That's risky, but there's good risk management tools. A business plan will tell you what's left after you borrow the money, you use the money, you start paying the principal back, and you start paying the interest back, and then you take that total amount of money going out and compare what you know is going to be coming in, and if it's black ink there and it's manageable and sustainable, then going into debt is a way to make money. Just be careful and talk to someone, get good advice about it. Now, once you have a debt and you have a lien, whether you're loaning the money or you're borrowing the money, that promissory note can be legal just if two people sign it, write it on a piece of note paper. That's a legal document. But the degree of legality might have a lot to do with some other things. So what makes your document more legal? Now, I'm saying this because you always want to protect yourself from someone that may be a scoundrel or a crook or a loan shark, because some documents are written in front of people and they're not legal and they're signed and you're in trouble. So learn always to have, if you don't know what you're signing, get someone to read it for you and help you with it. So what makes it more legal? First of all, getting it notarized. Now, I don't go to a place tomorrow and I don't sell two pieces of equipment to a gentleman. He's going to pay me with cash. And he insisted that when I bring my bill of sale to him, because he's paying with cash, that he wants it to be notarized to have a more legal document. And did that cause me any qualms? It did not, because it said to me, this fella understands business, and that is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Because with cash, there's not going to be a check paper trail, but he wants to make sure that he's going to have proof that he paid for this stuff, and having it notarized is one of the first steps to do it. Now, if it's not a cash sale and there is a lien involved or a continuing credit, then what you need to do to perfect the lien, that means to make it legal, is that lien, that document needs to go to your register of deeds at your courthouse and you record it as a public document. That means anyone in the world can go there and look up your name or that particular piece of real estate and see if there's any liens on it, if there's any debts on it. And that's important because if a debt is filed on a piece of property or a piece of equipment or a title on a car, truck, or trailer, that debt has to be satisfied before the property can be sold to someone else. If there's more people that's got liens on something than it's worth, guess who gets paid first? It's the person that filed their lien first. So let's say you got a $100,000 piece of property, and it sells for, and the people have to sell it. And the lien holders are all lined up there, and all three lien holders have a $100,000 lien on the property. So does that mean there's $300,000 owing on it, and only $100,000 coming in? Does that mean that everybody's going to get $35,000? Nope. It means that the person that filed their lien first are going to get their $100,000, and the other two people get squat. Okay? So that's why it's important that as you're doing business, you make sure that any documents that you're signing are properly done, notarized, and filed at the courthouse to give you the protection that you need. This is a big deal when you're signing leases. This is a big deal when you're loaning money for a long term. And lots of times the lawyers who don't mind taking your money will absolutely squat on you and not perfect these liens, which means that you paid for good legal advice and didn't get anything for it. So listen to me, because it's happened to me on some pretty big deals, and I thought I had the best lawyer in the land and found out I had a lazy scoundrel that was taking my money. So it don't take long to get under your skin with that. So that's one reason these slides are in here. Find out before you secure a lawyer if they're doing what's right, but then you have to take it to the next step, because I thought I was pretty cool with this kind of knowledge, but I didn't. It's my fault that I didn't follow up and ask the right questions. Don't let it be your fault. So if you're getting ready to borrow money or have some legal documents that you're concerned about, get some good advice and cover all your bases to make sure that they are perfected and notarized and filed properly. You got to remember that when you take money from someone to launch your business, that doesn't mean that they're a financial partner in your business. Or it could mean they're a financial partner if the documents are written up that way. So you'd have to really watch how the documents are written when you're borrowing money. Are you just going to borrow money from someone and then pay them back as the promissory note pays? Or are you going to borrow money from someone and give them part of your business as a stockholder? Or are you going to borrow money from someone and give them the right to dictate to you how your business is going to be run? It could be any one of those. So when it comes to borrowing money, you got to be very careful about that. There's a lot of places that you might find money. Well, pretend to loan money, but some places that should anyway. That's your local community bank, your large commercial banks, credit unions, government agencies, private organizations, and then individuals. And we're going to call these individuals angel investors, and they may be your friends and family. But I want to focus on credit unions here for just a minute. A lot of you are retired, and through retirement through the years, maybe as working for a government agency or the county agency, you're doing business with a state or some type of credit union, maybe a military credit union. What I want you to know is credit unions cannot, by law, offer money to help businesses get started. It's against the law for them to do business loans. And to repeat that back, it's against the law for credit unions to offer business loans. So a lot of you, that's where your equity is, and that's where you do your banking. So when you go to get some money to help get your business started, I suggest to you, you don't mention anywhere on your loan application that you're going to start a business. It's just that you have some personal agenda that you need to do, or that you have some projects that you want to take care of. But don't use the word business loan on a credit union application, because you can do loans at credit union, get equity loans on your house, or borrow money on your car, or just get some flat loans. But be careful not to ever say business loans, because their charter won't let them lend it to you. Now, you're not breaking the law by doing that. You just didn't spell out that you were going to use it for money. That's just a little tip. Now, with private organizations, and there's some of those around that deal with that, they may have some different rules and such as that. This is when, again, it's good to get a second and third opinion before you nail yourself down to a long-term contract. Angel investors now are a different breed. The angel investors write up their own promissory notes. They do things that relate to them. Who are angel investors? Well, in most communities, you can look at your locally owned banks, your smaller banks, and look at the board of directors of the local banks. You become a board of director at a bank because you make a lot of deposits in that bank. That's how they encourage people to become a depositor. Folks with old money and deep pockets, they put hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars in local banks so they can be one of the board of directors and enjoy that honor. Get to go to some fancy meals and parties sometime. But mainly you get to go to your board meetings at the bank where you hear about the loans that are coming up at the bank. So a loan officer at a bank basically collects information for the loan committee. And the loan committee usually has several members of the board of directors on it. Now, these board of directors will hear about this business or that business, interested in buying some money for property or this or the other, and they may say to themselves, well, heck, I've got a lot of money that I can loan that person if they wanted to do it. Maybe I just ought to contact them directly and see if I can loan them the money. That happens, okay? So that's also why you need to know when you're giving information to a loan officer that you don't tell them any more than you want them to know to begin with, and especially not to give away to begin with any sensitive, competitive information that loan officer or that board member might take and share with someone else and undercut you in some way or supplant your plans. Yeah, I think that's against the law for them to do it, but a lot of people don't go exactly by the letter of the law, do they? So as you're writing your business plan and making those presentations, you always got to be careful not to say too much. But the angel investors are good to find. But you got to know that if you deal with one of these folks, they're going to want a piece of your business often. You ever watch the Shark Tank on TV? Notice that that's all about, yeah, I'll loan you money, and you're going to pay it back, but I want a piece of the business. I want a percentage of the business. I want to be a player. I want to have some fiduciary responsibility in that so I can have a say in how the business is going to be run and what direction it goes. The saying is the devil is always in the details. So when you're looking for an angel or an outside investor, just remember to watch out for the details. And if you hadn't been down this road, get some good advice. Investors and partners are two different folks. They might be the same, but there's two different folks. An investor is someone that's going to loan you money, and then they don't want you to pay it back according to your promissory note. A partner is a person who's going to loan you money, and if the business does well, they're going to do well. But if the business goes south, they're going to lose their money. They know that they're taking the risk like you're taking the risk. So the investor's taking less risk in your business than a partner does, provided that he's got a good collateral base, that if you don't pay the payment back on time, he knows he's got something he can take from you and sell it and get his money back. Just make sure you know the difference. But I'm always going to say to you, whichever it goes, that I want you to maintain 51% ownership of your business. 51% is a big, important number that we need to talk about. Because if you have less than 51%, if you have 50% of your business, that means you're not in control. 51% of the business all the way from 51 to 99 and 100 means you got control. And I want to encourage you to try to maintain that control. A lot of people get started in business with their brother or their uncle or their friend and say it's got to be 50-50. If it's not this way, it's the highway. It's 50-50. Everybody even split right down the road. Well, sometimes you can have 50-50 as far as investors, but one person will still own 51% or 65%, maybe because they're just more qualified to run their business. So it doesn't have to be 50-50 lots of times, even though people are putting in the same amount of money. If I wanted 51% versus someone else having 49%, I'd say you put in $49 and I'll put in $51. So I'll take a little bit more risk, but I want to have control and interest. Why? Let's say that you bring in some partners. You bring in a partner and give them 20% of your business because they're a really good salesman. And you bring someone else to help you get your dealership started, and you give them 20% of the stock because they really run a good service department. They're service technician oriented. And someone else you bring in and you give them 20% because they are a great manager, bookkeeper, financial asset management, such as that. So that still leaves you 40%. 20% to three people, put 60% in three people's hands, but you maintain 40%. So you got twice as much power as any one of the others, right? So you're in control. Not, because those other three, when they get together, what? They got 60%. And if they get together, they can fire you in a moment's notice without any reason. Just run you off. Even though maybe you put most of the money in all the time and they got the most to lose in the business, they can fire you. Even if they're silent partners. You got to keep that in mind. Now, let's say that two of them get together with 40% each. And so two of them have got an equal share with you. Then that leaves a third person that you got to kowtow to, get down on your knees and beg to try to run your business. And that's no way to do business, right? That's correct. So be careful when you're setting up your business with other people that's wanting a percentage. Be real careful. I encourage you to take their money and get that promissory note out and pay them back what you're supposed to, but you maintain control of your business. That's the best advice I can give you as a fellow that has lived that life, okay? Now, the reality of it is it doesn't always work. Some people are going to hang on to that 50-50 thinking. And I understand it. I understand it. It's bullheaded, but it's the way it is with a lot of folks. So what's my advice for you? Well, there's something you can do that makes it a whole lot easier. Because with a 50-50 relationship that lasts a long time, it will go south one day. Someone will die, and then you got to deal with their heirs. Someone will want to bring in one of their kin folks or their lover or their girlfriend or a friend that you don't like, and it just causes negative issues. 50-50s will always go south one day. So how do you avoid it from going south? Some things you can do. Number one is have a buy-sell agreement with your partner. And in that agreement, you say a couple of things. One, you can't sell any of your stock without giving me first option at it. You have to give me first option at any of your stock. And if someone meets the price that I'm offering you or beats it, then you have to come back and give me the right to bid on it. That's only fair. Number two is that, and this is important, don't ever make me an offer for my share of the stock, any portion of it, that you're not willing to take yourself for your share of the stock. In other words, don't offer me $10,000 for about $50,000 worth of stock unless you're prepared to take a $10,000 check from me or my new partner for your share. Now what that does, it puts the calms to water to keep someone from taking advantage of a partner that's going through a rough patch. Let's say someone's got sick or got in some type of trouble and they've lost a lot of money, and the only thing they got left is the stock in their business, and the other partner is saying, well, this is a good chance for me to buy him out at a song and take advantage of his bad luck. But when you got the rule in place that I'm talking about, if you've got any options at all, it gives you the way to protect your interest in the business, because if they come to you and offer you a low ball offer trying to buy you out, that means you can go find a friend or a banker or someone else and get at least that amount of money and buy them out for that low price, and now you're in a good shape because you've got the business at a very good investment cost. Just keep that in mind. If you got to go 50-50, then you look after the long term, because it will go south one day. They always do, and when they don't, it's just a miracle. Okay, here's the good news. A lot of you are thinking about starting businesses that are require that your major purchases that you have to get, whether it's a sewing machine for your sewing shop, or a lathe for your machine shop, or a tractor for your farm, or a truck for your trucking business. Maybe the biggest thing that you have to go into debt for, when you go to buy it, the person that's selling it to you can offer you financing, so that you don't have to go to the local bank where you need your operating money to borrow money for your truck. Because the people that sell in trucks, they have their own financing companies that can do it. And what that is saying is that what you're buying becomes the collateral. So if you can make a decent down payment to get the payment in line as you can afford to do it, you can do all your financing business right there at the dealership, or the person that's selling it to you with a promissory note, owner financing. See, owner financing gets back to this promissory note talk. And therefore, you're able to get what you need to get started. Now, here's what I want to say to you, and we'll talk about it even more next week. Borrowing money and going into debt is something that you have to do sometimes to make money. Just make sure that when you're going into debt, that whatever your monthly payment is, you are assured that this truck or this piece of equipment is going to be making you more each month to justify that payment. And that may have everything to do with whether you buy new or almost new or old and used. Because maybe that old used truck will make you more money than a brand new one will. You just have to weigh it out. But if you're buying fairly new, you want to make sure that you don't finance it for any longer than the warranty is, or any longer than you expect that truck to run without having to start costing you repair bills. Yeah, you can plan on that monthly payment paying for itself, but you can't plan on making enough money to pay for all the repair bills if it's old and used, and then it becomes a bad investment. None of your investments need to put you being upside down. You ever heard that term before, upside down? That means that you owe more money on something than you can sell it for. When you do that, then you have thrown the risk management tools out the window. But when you remember that if you're not upside down on the debt, then what you've got there is an asset that can get you out of a jam. Because if you made a good down payment, a large down payment, and you're paying on it regular, and you're really cutting that debt down each month with your payment, then you've got equity in this truck or in this piece of equipment. And equity is just like having money in the bank in a sense, because that is something that you own, that if you get in a real jam and you've got to raise some money in a hurry, you can sell that sucker, and it's worth more than you owe on it. Therefore, you can have some cash flow coming in, positive cash flow, by selling an asset that might save your business and get you over a jam. And because you did save your business and got over a jam, that means you live again to fight another day. You live again to go find another truck, make a down payment on it, and get started again. That's entrepreneurship. That's not pie in the sky. That's just real life. We have to sometimes, to stay in business, if you don't have deep pockets and great big bank account, we have to learn to take the assets we've got and make them work for us so we can live again sometimes after tough times. Now, I had a rental fleet for a lot of years, a lot of forklifts and tractors and backhoes in it, 200 units a long time. Had 200 monthly payments based on them. And sometimes when we get in really bad cash flow periods of time, like a drought period or an economic dive like we had in 2008, Sometimes I'd have to look over my rental fleet, which was always financed for 36 to 48 months. And if I had paid some down to 12 months left, I might have a piece of equipment there that I could borrow $20,000 on it. It might be worth $40,000, but I could borrow $20,000 on it, and pay off the $5,000 that was owing on it, and that gave me $15,000 worth of cash that I could reinvest in the business, and still I can start making payments on that same piece of equipment on a new contract. That's called refinancing your assets sometimes, and lots of times that is enough to get you out of a jam, to keep you going, or to start up a new profit center that you can do things with. That's called asset management. And asset management means that you are flexible, not only to buy, but always to sell if that's what you need to do. But you can't have asset management if you're upside down on your loans. How do you get upside down? Number one is don't make enough down payment. Number two is to finance things for longer than they are going to last. Like the fellow at the automobile place will tell you, yeah, man, you can get this car for $100 a month. And then they're going to tell you, but you got to finance it for 96 months. You might could have got it for $160 a month for 36 months and saved thousands and thousands of dollars. So the cheapest monthly payment sometimes is not the best deal for an entrepreneur. Matter of fact, sometimes it's the worst deal, because from the day you take that piece of equipment or vehicle away from the dealership, you are upside down, and that is not where you want to be as an entrepreneur. Okay? Excuse me. Excuse me. So, what's another way that maybe you can create some money? I call it pre-sales. Look at what you're doing in your business, and is there a way that you can sell some services or some products in advance before you deliver them to your customer? Now, this is an opportunity that comes up to someone if you're established and you've got customers that trust you and know you're not going to screw them. That is, they will give you money in advance for items that they're not going to get for a long time in the future. That's right. I used to do it with lawnmowers, with my lawn mowing companies and my companies that lease backhoes from me, and they've been doing it for years and years and years. I'd say, if you'll go ahead and pay me in September, on January 1st, I'll have a new backhoe or tractor or something there ready for you to go, and it'll be at a good price. Well, there's honesty and trustworthy. We had a good promissory note there that documented everything. I'm so sorry for the cough. And so they would advance me the money. I'd be able to use that money through the fall. I got a better deal on the equipment I was buying from them. Sometimes I got free freight. I got to use their money, and I pre-sold their trade-ins that I was going to get in, and was able to use their money before I had to spend any money. That's called making money through pre-sales. And in a lot of businesses, you can do that. I talked to a fellow in South Carolina today who's in the pine straw business, and I mentioned to him about what he was doing. He's got longleaf pines. You know, longleaf pines have these great big pine cones. And last year I noticed that there were a lot of decor shops and gift shops that were using these longleaf pine cones and craft shops and selling them for sometimes as much as 50 cents a piece, sometimes as low as 10 cents a piece. But I said to him, I said, are you doing any marketing with your pine cones, or are you just working with your straw? He said, well, you know, I've been thinking about that. Right now I'm just selling the straw, and we're just throwing the pine cones away. So I planted an idea and said, well, what if you collected those pine cones and started putting them in great big boxes and had a dry place to keep them in storage, that I could sell them a box at a time, you know, for several $100s, and we could split the profits. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And I'd pay him in advance for X number of cases, because it's going to take him several months to get a bunch of them. So he could have some pre-sale to help offset his cost and get some cash flow. And I could go ahead and start marketing for November and December sales of this coming fall. That's an example of how you would think about how to put a pre-sale plan together. Now, after you're open, we're talking cash flow now. The whole conversation right now is going to move to cash flow. After you open up, you're going to learn what cash flow is all about. and it can throw you a loop. So one of the reasons that you're here tonight, listening to somebody that lives it, when you make payroll for 60 years, every Friday, in good weeks and bad months and good months, you learn how cash flow goes and comes like a river and a flood. And you want to make sure that you're ready when it's going the wrong way. Monitoring your daily cash flow is going to be one of your biggest challenges, and it has to be a priority every day. You have to think like a predator so that every time you have a chance to make a sale or make a deal, you're saying to yourself, my business is depending on me having the skills it takes to turn this quoting opportunity into a selling opportunity. And you don't have to do it a certain percentage of the times to create the cash flow that you need. And if you're not prepared to do it and don't have the skills to do it, then my friend, let me encourage you right now and motivate you and be assertive enough to say, this is a must. You got to learn how to do it or find someone to help you that can. You got to learn how to make your website pay for itself or find someone to help you that can. You need to learn how to know what fair market value is, and no one can help you with that. You just need to learn it to help you have a business that's successful. Adding profit centers, adding more products that are connected with the dots so that your customer base can buy several things from you instead of one thing, so that your customer base can buy things from you year-round instead of just 1 month a year. Adding profit centers is the way that you grow your business to be successful 12 months a year instead of 1 or 2 months a year. A lot of us can come up with a scheme to make money for 2 or 3 months. I mean, heck, I can sell snow cones in the summertime and make a lot of money. But I don't think I can make enough money in the snow cone business to last me all 12 months. No. That's why we need more angles and more profit centers in our business plan to stay in business. Now, do we have to grow our business all the time? I want to tell you, you do in one way or the other. The first way you have to grow your business is to grow with new customers, because you're going to lose a third of your customers every year. A third of your customers will either die, move away, find someone else they'd rather do business with, or just go out of the kind of business that you're in. They just fall off the vine. That means that we constantly have to be bringing in new customers. Some of those profit centers need to be designed to do that. Profit center number 1 group, as a matter of fact. Next, if your business is holding its own, if it's not growing, then you're backing up. Businesses don't stay still. Why? Because your competitors are growing around you. If you're not picking up and maintaining your market share, that means your competitors are taking it up away from you, and therefore you're going to have a smaller group of customers you're going to be able to make money from. So growth is necessary. Fighting crises. What's that all about? That is having what people say, having a swivel head. Risk management. You need to be looking and being awake that people will steal from you, employees will steal from you, customers will take advantage of you. There's crooks in the game. Suppliers sometimes will take advantage of you. Hurricanes blow up the coast and floods come down the river. There's always an opportunity for a crisis, and you just can't be asleep at the wheel as an entrepreneur. You've got your life invested in it. You've got your reputation invested in it, and you have to fight for it. It's a fight, and you have to fight that crisis. Is it one that you can win? Heck yes. Is it one that if you just ignore it, you'll win? Oh, no. I'll guarantee you that's why 5 out of 8 businesses that open up over a 6-year period, 5 of them go out of business. Well, that percentage is improving now. You know why? Because more entrepreneurs are starting their businesses with home-based businesses. Because a lot of the things that put folks out of business that start a new one are great big lease bills and financial issues you get into when you start releasing property, dealing with landlords that take advantage of you, or you end up working for the landlord. Fight those crises going in. Now, the Small Business Center is going to give you the right kind of advice. I'm going to give you the right kind of advice related to these things because I don't be cautious. I don't be conservative. But being conservative don't mean I don't say that you always got to stay out of debt, but you always have to manage that debt and make sure that your cash flow is coming in that you can manage that debt. It's a great thing to do to be a successful entrepreneur and to be able to help other people. So if you got something that's on your mind, don't mind asking the questions. It's all confidential. And if I can't help you, I'll certainly send you to the Small Business Center or send you to someone that can. Now, let's talk about what we can do now. 7 honest paths to get things started. First of all, if you are in business, get rid of cash flow bottlenecks. Get rid of the bottlenecks. And that means you've got old inventory that's not selling. Sometimes you just have to take these things that you thought were worth so much money and they've been with you a year or two and you hadn't been able to sell them. Put a sale price on them, whatever you can get for them, turn that into cash, and then invest the cash into something you can make money with. Sometimes you have to take a loss and sell things. It teaches us to be better forecasters. Next week we're going to talk about forecasting. Negotiate when you buy things. Don't pay the first price someone's asking. You always ask for a lower deal. That's not called being cheap. That's called being a smart entrepreneur. Don't let folks get ahead of you with your past due accounts, and some people will never pay you. In today's world of credit cards, there's no reason that you should pretend that you're a bank and carry open accounts. I don't do it. Well, I used to have to do it as selling to farmers. When we first started our business in 1959, we'd have to, and we wanted to because it was just the way business was done then. Your farmer customers couldn't pay you until they sold their tobacco in September and October. That means we had to carry all that debt on our books until they could pay us back, and it was tough. But you learn to do what it is. From that standpoint, it's a whole lot easier world because everybody's got a credit card now, and you can collect it just like that. I run my business all over the United States, and most of my business is done with people sending me in checks or paying with credit cards. And I don't have past due accounts anymore. In the past, when you run into bricks and mortar store, my past due accounts or my accounts would run $40,000 to $80,000 a month, and there's always 5 to 10% of that was past due, and we were having to collect them. It's just part of doing business, but that has improved. So learn how to make sure you can control your accounts. Plug holes in your open account policies. That is to say that one of the things that will get a lot of folks in trouble, especially contractors, especially truck drivers, Gary, especially people that's running trucking businesses, Rayford, is you've got to be careful not to wait a long time to prepare your invoices and tell people what they owe you. Sometimes plumbers and general contractors will say, I'm working so hard I just don't have time to get my invoices together. Well, then let me tell you, you're not working right. Because you need to be collecting your money at least weekly and not let people get ahead of you, or you end up with more money invested in their property than they've got invested in it. Learn how to collect your money and get your documents right. Maybe it's not a promissory note that you need. Maybe it's just a simple invoice. Be ready and be proud that when you get ready to perform a product, there's nothing wrong with you getting paid in advance. Nothing's wrong with that at all. Or at least make sure that you've got an arrangement and an understanding that the money's going to be ready for you at a certain time on a certain date. That is cash flowing. We've all got some waste, and we all have to look at it. I've got waste in my business, and sometimes I just have to stop and sit down. Matter of fact, I'm looking at a stack of credit card bills right here where I've added on some little subscriptions here and a little thing here where these people are charging me by the month. And now I'm paying out about $300 a month on things that I really don't need. It was a good idea at the time, but I need to find the time to get over there and cancel that stuff out. I got along with them without for years. I can do it some more. Stretch your dollars. Make sure they last as long as you can. But the best way to improve cash flow is what I used to call the Magic Act. That is, take old assets that you put money in that's not making you money now. You love them sometimes. It's something you really love. Take old assets, sell them, turn it into new dollars, and start creating some money with those new dollars. Or at least having those new dollars over here in a side account that when a good deal opportunity comes along, you can take advantage of it. Add profit centers. Add different ways you can make money. Learn how to relocate trailers to make your trucks pay for themselves. Learn how to sell pine cones if you got pine trees. Learn how to sell pine straw if you got pine trees. If you're a good gardener, learn how to sell vegetables. Can them and put them up. Learn how to train other people. Maybe you're a retired trainer or teacher of some type. Maybe you can start some new services actually teaching and training people and making good money for it. Reconnecting with your raving fans. Reconnecting with your family and friends, whether you're doing the 12 Doers plan to do fundraising. But if your business is kind of stale and you want to grow it and give it a jump start, think about making a list of people that you know that love you and will help you, old acquaintances, classmates. Get them on a mailing list, start sending them some promotions. Remember, how do you catch fish? You keep fresh bait in the water. How do you catch new customers? You do it with promotions. Keep sending them promotions. Let them know what it is. Use the credit unions. Use some banks. Have some credit lines that you can use for your good deals. For your local banks, it's not what you know. It's who you know. So if you need to borrow some money, just know you use the local banks. Talk with the president, the VP, board of directors, people that own the bank. Talk to other people before you ever see the loan officer and kind of grease the wheel. If you need some tips on that, I can do it. But again, it's no come back. It's not what you know, it's who you know when you're borrowing from a local bank. Do not pay off long-term debts with short-term cash flow. That'll eat up your reserves. If you've got payments that need to be paid, postpone making the payments until you can make it, but pay by the due date. And if you can't pay by the due date, make sure you talk to your lender. Don't make them call you first. You talk to your lender, send in a little bit of money on that payment, and make them a promise when you don't pay the rest. As long as you're staying in touch with your lender, 99% of them are going to consider you a valued customer and will work with you a long time. Through the years, some of my best customers are some that have been in bankruptcy, and they came out of it, and I helped them come out of it. And when someone comes out of that and gets back into business, they're going to be a better business person, and they really appreciate people that helped them when they needed that help. So that's part of that, being a giver instead of a taker. When you borrow money, sometimes you can borrow money for 12 months and go ahead and pay the interest right up front in advance. Lenders like that. It's called paying the interest in advance. And so you're ending up with what's left. But what that does, it says to the lender, okay, I've already got my interest money paid, and then I don't get my rest of the money when it's due. Therefore, this is a good credit. I'm glad to do this business. Excuse me. I'm sorry for the cough. So that would be, let's say that you're going to borrow $100 at 10% interest. So you go to your lender and say, can you loan me $100 at 10%? Now, 10% is a good interest rate today, right? So they loan you the money, and as soon as you get that $100, you hand them $10 back and say, okay, I'm paying my interest in advance. Well, indeed, all they are out now is $90, but when it's time for you to pay back the money, how much do you owe? Huh? You owe $100 still, even though you paid the interest in advance. So that sets up a really good relationship, and an angel investor that you're paying the interest in advance, love it. And when you have paid off that loan, you know what they're going to say to you? You want to borrow some more? It's a good way to do it. If you want some more details on that, I'll be glad to send you some information. This is the way that you want your cash flow to look. Want it to be going up, even though it's red arrow here. If it's going up, I want that to be your cash flow. I don't want that to be your negative cash flow, taking advantage of your positive income down here. So let's keep our cash flow going up and keeping an eye on it. Will it always do that for you? It will not. There will be months that are slow. There will be months that are awful. That's why you need to have those reserves or those credit lines to back you up. because when it is good, that's when you set some money aside or you make the kind of investments that will help you. Now, what is the kind of investment that will help you? Is it a new Cadillac or a new Mustang with great big mufflers on it? Is it a boat, a new camper? Is that what entrepreneurs need to do with their money? Well, a lot of them do. Now, you can look around your community and you'll see some people that hadn't been in business very long that's got some huge houses and lots of great big trucks and trailers and boats. And I ate lunch with a fellow the other day that's got an electrical business here in Dunn, and he was talking about how he's traveling all around the world skiing and fishing with his family. And I was just adding all that up in my head, and just the stuff that he talked about, a little bit of chit-chat, added up to probably better than $200,000 in money that he was spending for entertainment. Well, everybody makes it to do their own thing with it, but this old fellow was saying, woo-wee, wonder where that money's coming from, and wonder how much he's setting aside. Well, with somebody now that has lived the life and done that kind of stuff as well, I can tell you right now that while you can enjoy it, enjoy it. That's part of being an entrepreneur, that it gives you the freedom to do those kind of things. But now I want to say to you, always keep in place some good risk management. Always be paying your insurance policies and investing in savings plans, so that if that rainy day comes or you lose your health for one reason or another, that you've got a safety valve to keep you going, and you don't have to sell off everything just to live. Now the COVID is maybe easing off a little bit. So what can we do now to reboot after COVID? Let's talk about that as it relates to cash flow. First thing you can do is do all you can to start increasing your sales. And to increase your sales to create more cash flow, we get right back to adding marketable profit centers. What else can you provide in your business for your customers so that you can say, and by the way, we've got this now. Maybe you can turn your hobby into a business. Maybe you're doing something or know somebody that's got a hobby that you can take what they're doing and start making money with it. A lot of different things going on. Maybe you've been a teacher like Lily over in Kinston, and she's taken her teaching skills and her contacts. Now she's doing life coaching and taking that into doing counseling for children and starting to get well paid for it. Maybe like Janice, she through the years has always loved her craft work. She's still doing a full-time job, but she started her wreath business called Per D Wreaths and doing a wonderful job selling wreaths all year round in the Kinston area, and now starting to reach out and shipping them all over the United States. Over in Montgomery County, where pottery and clay work and crafts are really big, so many people are taking their skills and turning them into money-making projects. Down in Bladen County, a lady and her daughter down there at Cottage Candles has taken a little kitchen business and turned it into a huge candle business and website now where they're selling private label and regular label candles all over the United States and doing it right at home. Right in Clinton, we've got a great store there that's selling homemade soaps and lotions. Even got a new bricks and mortar store downtown. Anything related to pets seems to be red hot now. This fellow here looks like our Otis dog here. But if it's related to pets, people are spending money. Now, why is that? Because the baby boomers, the people my age, your 60s and 70 kids, got empty nests now, and all these pets now are like our children, and and people find a way to spend money on those pets. Well, as I was walking out here tonight, Norma was sitting in the den there with a box on it called a Bark box, B-A-R-K box, where she had found online somewhere these people that will send you a box every week so you can have a present for your puppy or your kitty cat or your bunny. Well, this is called the Bark box, so I guess it's for dogs. But they figured out a way to get the Normas in the world who will do everything for their pets, a way to spend another $20 to $30 a week or a month on things to give presents to the puppies, okay? And now I got a friend in Clinton, and some of y'all know him, that raises happy chickens. And if you raise happy chickens out in a range-fed chicken, well, then you're going to get happy eggs, and people will pay those for happy eggs, and will pay you every week to bring them several dozen because it's just a nice thing to do. Fell over in the Seven Springs area, close to close to Kinston and Goldsboro. He takes his chainsaw and cuts these shapes out of stumps. Now, aren't they neat? Any kind of shape you can imagine, from a pirate for ECU to a giraffe or a Santa Claus. He'll make a shape that you want and sells these for $60 to $200 or $300, depending on whether they're painted or not, or what all you want. But he's taken his hobby and turned it into a pretty darn good business. You'll see him all over the place, setting up in different ways. Some folks love honeybees, and you can have your own business out in your backyard. Use your flowers and trees that are around you to help season the honeys different ways. And this is becoming a big business now. There's a lot to learn, but in the honey business, there's a lot of associations around that will help you do it. And I can tell you that I don't know of anyone in the honey business this year that hadn't done really well, because COVID has encouraged people to buy honey for medicinal purposes. Private label marketing is a huge thing that each and every one of you can do. If you're planning to have a website and you want to add some profit centers, you can put your labels on someone else's recipes and sell them as your products and double your money and take very little risk. Because by golly, if you don't sell it, you can eat it. And I've done this for a number of years. I've used them not only for profit centers, but also to show other entrepreneurs. I've used them for gifts at my rental properties and for my business. So using private label marketing is a good way to put your name on a lot of different products. If you want more information on that, just ask about it. Maybe it's starting your own lawn mowing business, and this is the right time of year to think about it. If you want to get in the lawn mowing business and be ready to go by the middle of April, it's time to start thinking about it now. And I've got a whole study guide I can share with you on that. And then I've got some great followers up in Roanoke Rapids. This is Angie. She has her own yoga business, and now she's helping people with their eating habits and such as that, with healthy diets, and starting to make some good money with it. Just wonderful, wonderful people that I just really admire, that's trying to help other people maybe make $1 for themselves. Maybe it's the farmers market you want to go to, or maybe you just want to set up a stand out by your road. But let me tell you, these little markets do really well and create a lot of cash flow for folks that really enjoy it. Maybe your business is ready to take the next step. And if you're selling something, if you've got a product line that you can put a truckload sell, I can almost assure you we can help you find a supplier or a vendor that may you work out a deal and use their money and their products to help both of you make some money. That's what truckload sales are about. It's for the good of the manufacturer and other folks. Also, it may be it's time that you have a re-grand opening. Maybe your business has just been around a while, but it's kind of stale and you need to do that. So I'm thinking a re-grand opening for a lot of different business, or a grand show or a grand gallery. I think about Denise there in Clinton with all the options that she's going to have when she's ready to get her business up and running full swing in a year or so. Promotions, promotions, promotions. It's like the state fair. They don't do that because it's fun. They do it because it's necessary. Monthly promotions is something right now in February. I'd like for each one of you to have your marketing plan that we talked about in week 3. What are you going to be doing each month of the year? And start planning now, so you can put a budget together and see what works, so that your marketing plan is one that's built on good experience. Target your customer groups. Maybe you haven't done any of that. And if you aren't targeting your customer groups, I'm telling you, you're missing one of the fundamental rules for entrepreneurship. To make your marketing money go further, you aim it at the customers that are most likely to do business with you. Now, we talked about this last week and how to find customers. You help them find you, and you do that by targeting your magnet appeal to them. Now, next week, I'm going to send you lots of samples about what I'm doing in my business to help target customers. And you'll see it right away. I'm naming web pages, certain names. I've got discount coupons. And we're doing videos for certain types of customers. And when you see that, maybe you'll figure out a way that you can use that type of technique to help you grow your business. If you got an idea about that and you want to talk about it, just let me know. This little cough's getting advantage of me. Give me just a minute. It's tough to do this online. Next week I'm going to be all well and I won't do this. So, how about this slide here? You got all these customers out here, and you know as well as I know that one of them is more likely to do business with you than the others. That's the one I want us to name, and that's the one I want us to aim our first advertising and marketing money at, because they will bite the hook. That's the hook to motivate them, and you'll create cash flow, and you can get your business started. Just think now, if you can take every customer that's doing business with you this year or going to do business with you next year, and you get them to buy one more thing each month from you. In other words, come back and make a purchase, one more purchase per month. Your business will automatically have at least a 12% increase in revenue. Just one more visit per customer. So how do you do that? Listen to me, my friends. You add profit centers. You add something else that will encourage them to come and buy from you. It's just as simple as that. You want at least 5 profit centers or as many as you can manage. Okay? Not just one thing, but as many as you can manage to do this one thing to give your place be that people can come back to. And when you have these extra profit centers, you can say, and by the way, we've got this and we got this, and people want to hear that. They want to shop where they're happy. Maybe it's time that you figure out how to go mobile. Maybe what you're doing has got you located at one location, and the only way customers can find you is to go where you are. Now, going mobile a lot of different ways can become tricky. It can become expensive. But whether it's a food truck or a plumbing business or whatever, teaching people how to sew or to paint, I don't know what the business is, but usually we can figure out a way that you can expose this business to other people. Of course, the internet is an option, but that's not what I'm talking about going mobile. I call that going e-commerce. Going mobile is you physically moving your product and your presentation to other locations where people can see you. Now, there's a lot of franchises. Well, excuse me, I don't want to say a lot. There are franchises out here that are built on mobile businesses. Kona Ice is one of them. I'm so happy to be able to advertise those. I had some good clients down in Morehead City that got in the Kona Ice franchise business and have done really well with it. And there's other opportunities to do it. Maybe you don't have to join a franchise, but you just set up your own trucks. Like we've always seen the ice cream truck go around in different neighborhoods. They make really good money. Usually find an employee and they put them out there and put the music on the truck and sell the product. Mobile ice cream shops. Old-timey, but you know what? Old-timey works for a lot of different things. So give that some thought. If you have a business that you'd like to think about how you might go mobile with it, I'll be glad to discuss it with you. All right, bringing it home for a landing. We're nearing the 8 o'clock hour. I do appreciate you all staying with us so far. And let me say to you to find your chat button, ask the questions, tell me what you think of the program tonight, how we can improve it. Next week, we're going to be talking about bookkeeping, not how to do QuickBooks, but how bookkeeping can be so important to you as a business owner to find the information that you really need to help your profitability, to help your cash flow, to help your security, and help you do forecasting in your business. And then after we talk about bookkeeping a little bit, we're going to be talking about how to forecast, how to better find that crystal ball for your business, and also some really important facts about negotiating. Now, this is important. Bookkeeping is very important. Negotiating is huge important, and forecasting is as well. So that's why next week is a required class that you need to be at. And then the following week, in week 6, we're going to take that information and we're going to move into taxes, record keeping, how to avoid audits, and then we're going to move into salesmanship and how to close sales. So the next 2 weeks is where we connect all the dots, all these skills we've talked about, and we figure out how to use them in our business or how to improve our self-confidence and our self-assurance. What's so important is that, first of all, I believe in you. I want you to believe in yourself and trust in yourself. And I've talked with several of you that's with us tonight, and I'm so happy for you and so proud of you that you're taking these first steps, baby steps. Maybe what suits you is just a little step. Maybe the next person on the list is ready to take a larger step. That's fine. As long as you're moving forward and you're wanting to improve your situation, even if you're just thinking about it. If you're just thinking about it, then by golly, maybe you're going to thinking about it a little stronger and move to it. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 years to get your ducks lined up to where you can actually start doing business. That's okay. But let that be your business plan. Have a plan that you're going to start doing certain steps by certain dates. Believe in yourself, and yes, you can do it. There's just no doubt about it. So I want to thank you so very much. We're going to be here another few minutes, and after we stop recording, I'd like to talk with any of you, answer any questions that you have. I'll ask you to turn your microphones on, and we'll pick it up. But I do want to say to you, God bless you, and just thank you so much for all that you're doing. And I'm proud that you're a member of the Academy here, and just so happy for all of us that we can move forward together.